too. We're going to do something this hour to help a lot of you live longer, healthier, happier lives. We're going to save some lives as well as we talk about bio-superfood. This is an issue that is crucial, maybe the most important issue the world has ever faced, at least in terms of known history. The radiation and radioactivity coming from the destroyed, not damaged, destroyed nuclear power plant at Fukushima is coming out 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Who knows how long? Maybe 100 years, another couple hundred years. We don't know. There's no technology to stop it, to curtail it, to do anything. The northern Pacific Ocean now is all but dead. There's nothing much there. If you look in the Fukushima box on the right-hand side in the featured story column, you'll find it's right at the top. Look at some of the videos. Carmel, California, tide pools, deader than dead. San Diego, Point Loma area, tide pools, dead and dying, virtually nothing left. The Pacific is virtually dead. Some of these tide pools look like they've been scrubbed with bleach. There's nothing there. Nothing. No green. Nothing. You think of how they used to look, sea urchins, and there are over 6,000 species tied to tide pool life. The soup of life, as Dana Durnford calls it. Well, you remember the catastrophe, and it was, at Chernobyl. Multiply that by 100 and you have Fukushima. And fortunately, there is something that came out of the Chernobyl disaster which we all desperately needed. A brilliant doctor, Dr. Michael Kiriak, created a formulation of the 4 most potent algae in the world. Put them in a formula. They, among other things, chelate heavy metals out of the body. And those heavy metals, in many cases, are exactly what transports and vectors the radiation into your body and holds it there. Now there's a way to get it out. In addition to that, this bio-superfood of the 4 most potent algae on the planet actually will do more to build your immune system and give you energy. I mean, I won't say this. I don't want anybody doing it, but if it were me, I wouldn't have any problem trying to live on it if I had to. It's that loaded with nutrients, thousands of nutrients. It's a remarkable development, and it's the only thing out there. Years ago, I talked to Dr. Russell Blaylock about radiation. He didn't know about bio-superfood then, but he did urge people to take a couple of supplements. I know he would be just overjoyed to recommend this product. He would recognize in an instant what it promises us and what it is delivering to us. I have taken it every day in my nutrition drink for 5 years. Over 5 years now. We're coming up on 6 years since Fukushima. You don't hear about it in the newspapers. You don't hear about it in the mass media. You don't see much about it on the internet except here. I cover it every Monday. Next hour we'll do it again. But this hour is designed to help you understand what you can do to build your body and defend against the exposure of radiation, which we are all now being put through every day. And you say, well, it's just a little tiny amount, only 10 becquerels per square meter. It doesn't matter. It's all cumulative. It builds and builds and builds. And depending upon what you eat, you're going to get sicker. Roland Thomas is here. Roland is a doctor of the most important kind of medicine, natural medicine. He is a man who has been working with Dr. Kiriak and helping to promote and spread the word about bio-superfood for years now. And he is an extraordinary man, physically and mentally. And his care about all of us is something that stands even above his other talents. Roland, are you there?
Sure. Can you hear me?
I got you. Thank you. You sound fine. Very good.
All right. Well, thank you for the introduction.
You're welcome. I don't think I overstated anything. We are really headed toward at least a mini extinction event. We're losing so many species in these tide pools, and there's nothing to regenerate them. They're gone. thousands upon thousands of species of animal life in the ocean are gone now.
It is a sad, sad situation. There's no doubt about it. You know, the micro version of Fukushima, as you mentioned earlier, Chernobyl, is still happening.
Yes.
Since 1986.
Yes.
And as you know, that whole area of Chernobyl itself and 100 miles around is still devastated. And it's for 500 years, so who knows?
Right.
That is still happening.
Not going to slow down, isn't slowing down. And for those of you that don't know much about it, imagine 300 tons of deadly radioactive water a day flowing into the ocean from under the destroyed Fukushima plant and through the radiation, the fuel that has all melted down and is below the plant now. The water goes right through that, right into the ocean. It's a situation that is really insoluble now. Nothing can be done about it. It comes over in the water, in the North Pacific Current, and piles up and is piling up all along the West Coast, British Columbia, all the way down to Mexico. It's concentrating. It's getting worse. It comes over in the air. The Japanese, of course, are continuing to burn radioactive waste in their municipal incinerators in virtually every major and medium-sized city in Japan. And where does all that go? It goes up in the air. Some of it comes right down on the Japanese. How clever. A lot of it comes right across the ocean in the jet stream and the lower level airflow that brings moisture across the ocean. Some of it evaporates into the clouds and comes down as precipitation here. Some comes across and just simply coats the land. There's nowhere to hide, nowhere to go, nowhere to run. This is the real deal. And we don't mince words here. We're not playing games. I hope that the Trump administration's selection for the EPA will finally address this issue. I know they don't want to panic. I know that's their rationale, Roland, for not talking about this. But my God, how many people have to die from it before they'll eventually start to talk? It's time. Now.
I agree. I told you, I think, in a previous talk that I had read a book called Green Intelligence, which described how the EPA is nowhere equipped to address, and I'm talking about something that was already there 20 years ago,
right.
The level of pollution, the level of chemical poisons in our atmosphere, in our fabrics, in our plastics, in our food chain. Way before Fukushima, we were in trouble, and no one is really talking about it. Yet, as you know, I'm the eternal optimist. I'm really here to speak about what are we, each of us, going to do about it if
right.
no one else is going to do it.
And look at if you have children, look at your children. You don't want them coming down with cancer when they're 10, 11, 12. You've got to take appropriate measures, and thank God we have this product. We have it. You'll find the banner at the second spot in the top area of the homepage. Please click on it and read it. There's information on there you'll find nowhere else. This is the product. This is, again, not just an anti-radiation or a radiation mitigator. This is an energizing, nutrient-dense formula that will give you energy. It'll build your immune system. It really is a miracle, in my view. It's a wonder formulation of the four most potent algae on the planet, all grown in the Kamchatka Peninsula area, brought over here, capsuled right here, put in capsules and available right now. Right now, you at the end of this hour, I hope all of you who can possibly do it will get online, click on that, read it, and order. Get yourself going on that. You won't have to take dozens and dozens of supplements anymore because this algae is so dense with nutrition. How many different nutrients are in the algae altogether? Do you have a guess?
There's over 15,000 now known. When I met Dr. Kiriak 18 years ago, they had, back in the 90s, evaluated or were able to see under microscopic spectrum analysis as many as 5,000. But with the new advance in microscopic spectrum analysis, we now know that there's over 15,000 compounds. That's what they're called, right? Because most of them are unknown, so they're called compounds. But as far as known and famous, the typical nutrients that we're looking for, the trace elements, the minerals, amino acids, vitamins, fatty acids, they're all in there. Thousands and thousands of enzymes. What's most astounding and amazing is that there is 15,000 plus compound in a invisible grain of algae. Each invisible little grain in that capsule that you have has itself 15,000 compounds. And what's most interesting is that, and I'll get back to this, is that when you consume this capsule of food, a whole food, what happens in your body is an explosion of reactions, of millions, billions of reactions that occurs. I was reading a book recently on digestion and advanced nutrition, how it explains how when you eat a whole food, it's a marriage that occurs in your body, and it goes across your entire body to every cell of your body. So it's a very different approach than consuming, say, a selected vitamin C standalone or isolate of that sort, or taking magnesium. It's a very different approach. But I wanted to tell you a story. I get stories every day, Jeff, about people who start using our product or who have been using it for a long time, like yourself and myself. But this was it's not the first time, but it's so I would say, cute, but it's beyond cute. It's a woman who writes me out of the blue on Messenger on my Facebook account. Hello, Mr. Thomas. I wanted to tell you that Gina, another one of our clients that has an autistic boy, who's been using the product for 6-7 years, gifted me with a bottle of your product for my son. He took one capsule for 20 days straight. His language skills have increased with proper use of pronouns, and he's an autistic boy, 10 years old. He is now using conjunction words most of the time. I noticed today and the other day that he was walking heel to toe instead of toe walking. Today he smiled and waved at me from across the trolley instead of no facial expression and no wave. He is also changing his tone and volume appropriately when he speaks. Thank you for the supplement. With love, Jennifer. How about that?
What a wonderful story. So many children with autism now being brought on by things that they shouldn't have to face and deal with. But there is hope in so many theaters of human health. That was an extraordinary story. And for those who don't know...
interesting, Jeff, is that it's such a small capsule, right? You've seen it.
I've said it on the air so many... These are little capsules. They're not big horse capsules.
It happens on the first day, the change in the body.
Yeah.
I'm still amazed. 18 years. I've been using it for 18 years, and I still get stories every day that remind me, because I've adapted to this wellness, to this benefit, to this blessing.
Right.
But it's when people remind me with their own success that I get back and I'm passionate.
Here's what's sitting on my desk in the studio. A bottle of F3 Bio Superfood, and I just take them during the day occasionally.
Wonderful.
Now, you've got a special guest coming on this hour, and you want to go ahead and introduce her? Her name is Janis.
Yes, I wanted to invite Janis for many reasons, but one of which is because she lives in Seattle. She lives on the West Coast with her family, with an extended family. And she started using the product about 8 years ago, for her own personal severe health challenge, extremely severe, and she'll share that with us. And she has been able to live a normal life and share it with her family. But the other dimension is that they're all on the West Coast, so and they're
she's being exposed. She's being exposed.
Correct.
Yeah. So am I, Janis, but I'm not on the coast in Seattle.
Janis is with us, and she'll do a much better job than me.
Very good. All right, Janis, hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. I remember going back several years, 4 years maybe, when it was announced finally that the West Coast had been hit very heavily within the first 10 days or less of the Fukushima triple disaster there. And then they finally admitted that the average Seattle resident was consuming, via inhaling, up to 6 radioactive hot particles a day. A day. And these don't come back out of the body. This was a massive exposure to radiation and radioactivity that our government never said a damn thing about. Nothing. So tell us your story.
Okay. Well, in 1995, at the age of 54, I was diagnosed with cerebral vasculitis, inflammation of the arteries in the brain. At that time, I was the 5th person in the world known to have it in the brain. The other 4 had died, and I was given 5 days to live.
5 days? They were that generous to you,
5 days. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was generous, actually, yes. And the spots were on the left side of my brain, in the vessels, the arteries, and they were so tissue paper thin that when they did the angiogram, the doctor was astounded that he hadn't actually broken through, and I'd had a cerebral hemorrhage. So they immediately started me on chemotherapy because the white cells were plugging up the vessels, trying to heal that inflammation. They said it was like a Pac-Man. It would clean out those dead cells, and also 80 milligrams of prednisone. I was on 80 milligrams of prednisone for 10 years, every single day, and of course all of the complications and side effects that go with that.
That's amazing you survived prednisone for 10 years.
Well, by the grace of God, and really, truly, those 10 years by the grace of God and by a wonderful family and a wonderful husband who took care of me. I literally was like a baby. I could do nothing for myself. I had a violent headache all the time. I was nauseated, vomiting most of the time. During those 10 years, I had 4.5 years of chemotherapy intermittently to clear out the vessels when they started plugging up, which, of course, made me even sicker. And my immune system, I didn't have one, I'm sure. It was just gone. But in 2005, it had spread from the white matter, gray matter, brainstem, heart. It had literally spread everywhere with all of this treatment and all the side effects and things that I got from those. And the doctors just said, there's nothing else we can do for you. Well, I had a friend who was taking the algae who had breast cancer, and she was taking the algae and was really in a good remission. And she felt it actually cured her cancer. And so she told me I had nothing to lose. I should give it a try. Call Dr. Thomas. She gave me the number. I called him. We talked about it. He said, well, I've never had anyone with vasculitis, but it's worth a try. And he sent it to me immediately. I started taking it. And literally within 4 days, the headache was less severe. The nausea was decreasing. Within a month, the headaches were gone. The nausea and vomiting were gone. I was off all of my medications. I stopped them just dead cold, the prednisone, everything. And I had no side effects from stopping it that quickly. And I have been taking it now. It'll be 11 years in May since I started taking the algae. And I have everybody on my family taking it. I even started my little granddaughter when she was so small she couldn't swallow a capsule. And we would just make some toast, put some butter on it, sprinkle the capsule on it, put a little sugar and cinnamon on it so she couldn't taste it, and she took it right down. And I can honestly tell you, that my family, I have three grandchildren now. Two of them have finished college. One of them's getting a master's, and they're all in college or working. They never got a cold. They never got a flu. They never got anything during school, during college, nothing. My oldest daughter was diagnosed with moderate Crohn's, and she was having very severe abdominal pain, the bloody mucus stools, the whole thing that goes with Crohn's. And she was taking the algae just as a supplement because I had everybody on it. I said, well, just take it to prevent everything. But she'd had a history from birth of an intestinal colon type thing. And so I called Dr. Thomas, immediately upped her dosage, and within less than a month, all of her symptoms disappeared. And that has been about 7 years ago. It has not returned. She was just here for the holidays. She's healthy. She's strong. It's just beautiful to see, and I'm so happy that actually almost that I got sick so that my whole family can be saved from the distress of having to deal with illness that is simply not necessary. And Dr. Thomas told me when I started, he said, it's a powerful natural anti-inflammatory, which is, of course, what I needed. My disease was inflammation, which they've proven now every disease starts with, even cancer. And it's an immune builder. And of course, my immune system there was nothing there. And I have not had a cold. I've not had the flu. I've not had anything like that since I started taking the algae almost 11 years ago. And I'm 75. I was 75 in December. I do aerobics and weightlifting and everything 6 days a week. And I'm going to start doing gyrotonics now, something totally new. And I really feel like I'm about 35 years old, and I go like a house of fire.
And, Janis,
and I like to say to all of my people and friends that I have, I said, even if you're not sick and you don't need to get healed from something, call Dr. Thomas, start the algae, take it, whatever he says, for a month. And I guarantee you're going to feel better and you're going to stay with it. But if you have a disease, I have friends who've had cancer, who've had fibromyalgia, who've had all kinds of different diseases that I've recommended it to. They've called Dr. Thomas, they got started on it, and they're now disease-free, and they're thanking me for having told them about the algae. So I hope you have a lot of listeners that will at least give it a try for a month. Try it for a month, and you'll never stop taking it.
That's quite a welcome back. Don't remember anything about the lies from the government. And the lies from the government are always the silence. Just forget that. What you hear here is very important, and it's all there on the homepage for you. If you don't believe it, look it up, read it, look at the videos. The videos I've just added about the tide pools. No one wants to believe this until they go down to the beach and they see that the tide pools are as empty and they're dead. There's nothing there. Only 80 orca remain in the Puget Sound. That's it. No more. And they're being found with 4% of their body mass. And they should have enormous covers of blubber. There's no food for them. The food chain is broken. It's done. They're just done. And there's no way to bring them back. You can't reduce the radiation that's compiling and becoming more concentrated in the ocean every day. Now, we really haven't talked about that. We're just talking about baseline nutrition. Now we want to go back and talk about where biosuperfood came from and how and why Dr. Kiriak created it. And we'll go back to Janis in a couple minutes. Anything else you want to add, Janis, by the way, before we go back to this issue of Chernobyl?
Well, I really do encourage people to eat organic. I think that our food sources are completely polluted and toxic. And now, since I'm so detoxed with the algae, if I eat anything that's not organic, I get a bad headache and nausea within an hour and a half.
Right.
So I really am. And now the prices of organic have come down to where they're almost comparable to the no good stuff in the stores, the conventional stuff. So I really, really do. In fact, Dr. Thomas told me when I started the algae, he said, go all organic if you can, or as much as you can, because you don't want to put toxins in your body when the algae is trying to take them out. And that made perfect sense to me. And fortunately, we had an organic store. The Whole Foods had just come to town. And so I've been eating all organic since I got well. And honestly, I have not had a cold or flu. I have more energy than my friends who are 50, 60 years old, and I'm 75. And I just feel so good.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's so important to understand that age is just a number. I've seen people, and so have you, Roland, probably you too, Janis, in their mid to late 30s. There's nothing there. They're already on the way out. Their health is collapsing. You can look in their eyes. There's no glow. There's no happiness. There's nothing. They're on the way out. And it's all because of the constant toxins they put in their body. Thousands upon thousands of chemicals, heavy metal compounds. The food supply here is so disastrous that I couldn't even get close to telling you about it if I spent a week. It's that bad. So do eat organic. Pay a little bit more, and Janis is right, the prices are coming down. They're very competitive. Make sure it says GMO-free, certified GMO-free. Is that an absolute guarantee that it will be? No, but it's better than nothing. The GMO project is very careful about that. But buy organic. You'll eat less because you're going to get more nutrition out of the food. Part of the problem is when you eat the food, the nutrition level is not there. And the brain says, we need more nutrition. Eat more, eat more. So you won't have that when you eat organic. And you don't have to eat as much. And it's really that simple. And with the bio superfood on top of it, I don't know how anybody could consume a more qualitative diet than that. Organic and bio superfood. It's just the best. What do you eat tell me about your diet, Janis. What kinds of things do you, because people will often say, well, I don't know about that organic food. What am I going to do? So what do you eat? Tell us some of the things you really like.
Well, I eat a lot of chicken and turkey.
Oh, you're a meat eater. See, I'm a vegan, but you eat organic chicken and turkey.
I do eat meat, but it's definitely all organic. I do eat a little bit of beef, not often, but I do eat it. But I eat mostly vegetables and fruits. I eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of green leafy stuff, kale, chard, all of the green leafy things. Lots of I eat mostly raw vegetables.
Right.
I love salad, and I'll put more vegetables in it than I will the lettuce, because I love.
Oh, absolutely. I'm right with you. Good job.
The organic does taste so much better than the conventional vegetables. I mean, they're just like eating a piece of candy almost. They're so satisfying. And so I live on vegetables mainly, a little bit of meat, maybe about 4 or 5 ounces of meat a day. I do eat egg whites. I don't eat the yolks, but they're all organic, of course. And I do, I don't eat anything out of the box or the can, other than maybe canned tomatoes that are organic if I want to make chili or something like that. But I try to use fresh, organic in everything that I eat, and it just tastes good. And like you said, you don't need as much. You're satisfied very quickly, so I don't have a problem controlling my weight or that type of thing because I eat very healthy. I'm satisfied for a long period of time, and I'm not a snacker. I'm too busy to be a snacker.
You are amazing. See, age is just a number. If you're healthy and give your body the chance, it will carry you for 20, 30 years, 40 years longer than most people live. And that's the truth. That's the truth.
I believe that, absolutely.
You could easily go another 20, 25 years at the pace you are if you keep your weight under control and continue doing what you're doing. So this is and remember
I'm
how
going for 105. That was my dad's goal. He didn't make it.
Good job. Well, I'm going
for that.
You've got a background in genetics that'll help too. This is Roland told me that Janis's story was amazing. You were one sick lady. They gave you 5 days to live.
Yeah.
5 days. Like I said, very generous of them.
I was considered critical for 10 years. Because they really felt that one of these vessels my blood pressure was 250 over 150 or more.
Oh my.
All the time, 24/7. And they really felt that would break through one of these really thin walls and I would die of a cerebral hemorrhage. And by the grace of God, I didn't. But I think, But once I've got the algae, there is no sign. I've had MRIs, I've had other tests. There is absolutely no sign that I ever had vasculitis.
Wow.
And that's amazing, too, because I should have had a heart problem with all the pressure valve problem. I should have had scars in my brain from all of the inflammation that had spread over those 10 years.
Yeah.
And they can find nothing.
Well, that could have led to dementia. That could have led to all kinds of things. You are. This is a miracle of nutrition again. Eat the right foods, consume the right wholesome products, and right at the top of the list, Bio Superfood. People call it a supplement, but it really is much more than a supplement. It's a way of nutritional life, and it's pure. It is raised and produced in the most scientifically clean facilities in Kamchatka. It's brought over here under the Dr. Kiriak. Really, this is his life. He really cares about this, and I hope he's listening tonight. But these stories are just stunning. Janis was gone. You would not have made it. No. No. I literally was like an infant. During that 10 years, the only thing I remember is that a couple of times my husband had me in the shower because I have these horrible muscle cramps from head to toe, and they were just like Charlie horses from head to toe, and my hands would clench into my chest, and I'd just sweat, and this awful sweet sour smell, and it just soaked me in the bed, and they'd last for hours. I'd be awake during the whole thing. Nobody had ever heard of them. Nobody had ever seen them. Nobody knew what to do for them. And so my husband, a couple of times I remember being in the shower and he was in there washing my hair and bathing me. A couple times I remember sitting in a chair, he's making the bed. And the only other thing I remember during that whole 10 years was going to the doctors, of course, and getting the chemo and getting really sick. But also him just saying, open your mouth, babe. Open your mouth, babe. Swallow. Swallow. Wow.
I literally was like an infant. And had I not had the amazing husband I have taking such amazing care of me, I would not be here either.
Wow.
Because it was the care plus the fact that I do believe the Lord had a purpose for me. And my purpose is to share the algae. I tell everybody I can tell that this is God's gift to the 21st century.
Well, it's certainly not to be found in a modern supermarket. That's for damn sure. I don't even go in those places. Scary.
No,
scary stuff. When you look at the labels, whew, even if you don't know what the terms mean, there are dozens and dozens of them. I saw some food the other day. It was hailed as natural and organic, and I read the label, and it said natural flavor on it near the end.
Oh, yeah.
That's MSG. So you've got to read labels. Natural flavor means MSG. If you see anything with partially hydrogenated on the label, put it down. Don't pick it up again. Leave it. Go away. So, natural flavor is one of over 50 different terms that MSG hides behind. And the FDA made a deal with the industry. If you bring it in here, 100% pure, and cut it by only 2% with anything else, you can call it whatever you want. And that's what they do. So it's 98% pure MSG, 2% something else, and they can name it anything they want. So, bad stuff. All right, now, let me go back to Roland. And the idea that, and I've run so many graphics on this, Roland, the West Coast, unfortunately, it's the barrier. The North Pacific Current comes across from literally right off Fukushima, coincidentally enough, or is it? And it comes over here at about 10 to 12 knots an hour, and it brings the radioactive water with it, and that begins to pile up the concentrations along the coast. That's why the tide pools are now dead and gone. If you don't believe me, go down this summer and take a look. Look at the videos I have up. Maybe you'll find one somewhere that's got a few species, 10, 15, but there's supposed to be thousands and thousands, no more. And so you've got to protect yourself. Am I telling you to stay out of the water? I think I would if I felt it was going to make much difference. I certainly know that if you're living along the ocean and you smell the ocean, that's called the marine layer. little tiny particulates of moisture, you are inhaling the ocean. And in that marine layer can certainly be found radioactive nuclides. These radionuclides are in rain, they're in the dust, they're in everything. So you've got to minimize your risk, and you can do it. And now you have something that your body can use to actually chelate this garbage out of your system. And I think it's absolutely essential. I would be scared to be without it. And I don't scare easily. Roland, tell us more about the issue of the radioactivity in the Pacific and along the West Coast. In fact, all the way across America, because there really is nowhere to hide from this stuff anymore.
Well, I think you're the expert, but I can assure you that there are many more people that are affected, that are going to doctors and naturopaths and sharing their symptoms.
Yeah.
That are typical of low-grade infection. It's very hard to diagnose as the cause, but it's all over. It's chronic fatigue, it's adrenal fatigue, it's fibromyalgia, it's headaches, digestion issue, etc. So Dr. Kariak is getting a lot of calls from BC, from British Columbia.
Well, that's the first place where the tide pools all died. That's the first place, and then it moves south.
Right. I wanted to plug a webinar, Jeff, that I'm going to be holding.
Oh, go ahead.
January 18th at 8:30 New York time, 5:30 California time, with Dr. Kariak for 1 hour and a half on the internet with charts and questions and answers. We're going to be talking about prevention and protection using bio-superfood in your diet. We're going to explain the research that was done, the mechanism of action. How can such a small amount of food deliver so many benefits, as we heard tonight? And it's free. And you can find out the logistic of that webinar following your banner. You'll end up on our BioAge website. And on that website, sign up for the email, for the newsletter, and you'll be invited. Or check out at the top in the About section, the About tab, there's an event. And on the event page, you'll see the URL to click on the day and date and the day and time of the webinar, January 18th at 5:30 California time. It'll be a lot of fun. You'll get video, you'll get the image, as well as you'll meet Dr. Kariak and myself.
Wonderful. Oh, he's such a brilliant man to listen to. This will be an amazing educational and life-saving and life-extending experience. The more healthy your body is, the more it can fight off this, and I'm going to go back to my radiation issue because it really bothers me, this low-level, constant exposure to radiation. And that's what's happening now. It's not stopping.
And the way that I describe how the bio-superfood works is twofold. One is it itself is in perfect vibrational harmony. It's a vibrant, mighty vibrant food. Sometimes I say it's like adding STP in your gas tank. It just renders everything you do in terms of your nutritional floor, and as well as it leaves your body cleaner. It helps your body not leave debris from what we eat. But what happens when you consume bio-superfood? It's impossible that such a small amount of green food can do all those things, right? Even it was researched with the dairy cow and even with elephant, it was proven to one small capsule could affect the metabolism of an elephant within 20 minutes. How is that? It's not a miracle. It is that this food is so perfectly shaped and proportioned that it reaches the brain, the hypothalamus particularly, and look it up, Google hypothalamus. It's responsible for orchestrating the balance of our endocrine system, of every gland and organ in our body, but really down to facilitating restoration of the frequency of our cells. We humans were stressed, we eat poorly, we overwork, we don't rest, and we lose our proper frequency. And frequency is a resonance, it's a vibration. And by restoring cellular frequency to 100 trillion cells in your body, that's the only rational to explain how come there are so many benefits from consuming this food. It's because it's from the bottom up. You're getting all the warriors, if you wish, to work for you, 100 trillion cells in your body, so that, for example, your pancreas will function better because all of the billion cells that make up the pancreas are working together in harmony to synthesize, for example, digestive enzyme or the proper insulin level and so forth. So that is the concept, rather than being itself a small medicine that's going to go in every disease in your body and fix everything. It really restores your innate genius power of the human body to thrive amidst radiation nuclei, to thrive amidst stress, to thrive amidst eating. You know, Janis shared with us that she eats meat. And I work with people that eat terrible diet, and still, because they're adding the biosuperfood, they're doing better. They're doing okay.
Isn't that amazing when you think about it?
It speaks to our resilience, right? So I encourage, rather than running away from California or not eating anything or wearing a mask or wearing gloves for everything, I say increase your frequency or your vibrancy from within.
Very good. All right, Janis, we have a couple of minutes left. What do you want to touch on that we haven't gotten to yet? And yours is such a big story.
Well, I want.
Yes, Janis, why don't you share that you weren't you a nurse as well? I wanted to.
Yes, I was a nurse.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have
I was a nurse.
Go ahead.
Pardon?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was a nurse for over 25 years, and so I've seen people that are sick and dying, and I'd love to go in the hospital and give everybody a bottle of the biosuperfood. Because, and like I said, my entire family, even my grandchildren, at a very young age when they couldn't even take a capsule, I just said, that's it. My husband and I buy it for our entire family. Some of them cannot afford to do it because they're in school or college.
Right.
But we just feel it's so important that we prevent disease. That's what the immune system is for, to make you immune to disease. But
and medical doctors
turned upside down by all of the toxins in our food.
Right.
The pesticides, the herbicides, the chemical fertilizers, and all of the pollution and all this stuff. And so our body just cannot keep our immune system strong on its own. It has to have help. And that's what I'm so impressed with the algae, because I know that's what it's done for me. I can't question that because I stay healthy. I was dying for 10 years, and I am healthier than I've ever been in my entire life. And I was very active as a teenager and a young adult. I've always been very active. I was into sports and things in high school. But I really, truly feel better. And I'm more active now at 25 than I was when I was in high school.
That's amazing.
And I know it's because I eat well, I eat healthy, and I will not ever go a day without the biosuperfood, because I know that's the key to my health.
How many capsules a day do you take, Janis?
Well, Roland started me out in the beginning because I was on my deathbed with 6 of the Formula 2 and 12 of the Formula 3. And over time, as I have stayed well all these years, I've cut back. Now I take 6 of the Formula 2, and I take 9 of the Formula 3, and I need to cut that down to 6 also next month. And I have not seen any difference in my energy level or anything, but I really wanted to make sure that inflammation and that disease was gone before I cut back. And I think because I did take a real massive amount of it in the beginning, that's why I got such immediate results and such fantastic results, because I was constantly, every 2 hours, taking this stuff. My husband was giving it to me, and now I take it 3 times a day. I dole it out, but I think because I was taking it consistently and a lot of it that it just started bang, 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 taking care of all the things that were going wrong in my body. And there was a lot of toxins and I got osteoarthritis in my knees horribly from the prednisone, almost got an ulcer, lots of side effects that disappeared the first month. Sometime during the first month. I don't exactly know when even.
You know, what a tragedy that medical science doesn't teach how to stay well by having a wonderful baseline immunological function so you can ward off diseases. What do? They write prescriptions for chemicals and chemical compounds to treat the symptoms of the problems that they should be treating in the first place.
Right.
I mean, they got it backwards.
Yeah.
Of course,
I've never been a proponent of medicines. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, understand. Well,
I have to dole it out as a nurse, because of doctor's orders, but I really stay away from as much as I could. And of course, I had a mass of it when I was sick, but, that's something that I really don't like to take.
Understand. Okay.
And I think it's overdone,
Right. Well, listen, we're out of time. Janis, thank you very much for being here and sharing your experiences, especially as a 25-year nurse, a health professional. You know an awful lot to begin with, and somehow got away with being at death's door for 10 years. It wasn't your time. So you found the right solution, or it was shown to you, one or the other. But you're here, and it's great to talk to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I've enjoyed it.
Okay. Roland, thanks.
Good night, Jeff. Good night, Janis.
Happy New Year.
Indeed. All right. We'll be right back with another hour. Hang on.